Can you dig it?
How do I make healthy compost?
It's simple. Just like we talked about in the healthy soil video, you need to feed your compost the right stuff.
Feed it? What does a compost eat?
Well, a compost pile is actually made up of millions and millions of tiny microbes. Those microbes, just like us, need a balanced diet, and the main nutrients they feed on are carbon and nitrogen.
Where did those come from?
Carbon-rich materials are things like dead leaves and straw and ripped up newspaper and even ripped up cardboard. We call these the browns. Some sources of nitrogen-rich materials are fresh grass clippings, things like kitchen scraps, and piles of fresh weeds, fresh animal manure, and even coffee grounds. We call these the greens.
Wait a minute. Coffee grounds not green?
I know, but we call all of these different things the greens because nitrogen-rich materials are usually green, and all of those materials, including coffee grounds, are rich in nitrogen. The most important thing to remember is that we always need to add both carbon and nitrogen to our compost.
How do I know if I have the right balance?
An easy way to keep your compost balanced is to simply layer a layer of carbon-rich materials for every layer of nitrogen-rich materials you put in.
I try to do that, but my compost smells. Ew! And it gets flies.
Sometimes when our compost is giving us trouble, it's a good thing to remember that it's alive and to try and think, what are some of the basic things that most living organisms need?
Oxygen. Living things need to breathe.
Exactly. Just like us, a compost pile needs the right amount of air to live. In some composters, especially plastic ones like this one, as the pile gets bigger, all the air gets squeezed out and the compost pile can't breathe. To help your compost microbes breathe properly, you have to get air right to the bottom of the pile.
How do I do that?
You can use a tool to do that called a compost aeration tool, like this one.
How does this work?
I'll show you. So, we basically plunge the tool into the compost.
Okay.
Just like that, but you can hold on here and really push it right down.
Do I have to buy this tool?
Nope. You can just use a really sturdy stick. However, the compost aeration tool makes the job quicker and easier.
How often do I have to do it?
Well, this is a very important part of compost maintenance. And with plastic composters like this one, you're probably going to want to aerate your compost at least every 1 to 2 weeks. If you have a wooden bin or a bin that's made out of mesh, enough air gets in through the sides that your compost doesn't need to be aerated that often, and really only if it smells.
What if it doesn't help?
If your compost is really smelly and soggy, it might actually have too much water. And that often happens if your compost is not covered and it's getting rained on.
Yes.
Or it can sometimes happen if your compost is sitting in a really wet area or a puddle. But most often what happens is there are not enough dry brown materials for all of the moist green materials that you're putting in. An easy way to fix this kind of a problem is to take a brown, a dry brown like newspaper, rip it up and mix it into the whole pile. Beware, this can get really smelly. But if you do a good job of it and really thoroughly mix dry carbon-rich materials right through the pile, in a few days it should smell a lot better.
Maybe we need some help.
Great idea. It's always nice to have help.
That's a lot better.
Please subscribe.
See you next time on Can You Dig It?